music to the noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Blunt Kelly, get caught in the fray. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor blows the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows, dissect the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity when they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Steampunk Kelly with the center clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow.
Hey.
Hey, so how you doing?
That's the question we should be asking everybody around us, right?
What's up, Jeremy?
That is the question of the day. Well, one of them, I guess, to start would be, I hope everybody's doing okay. It's kind of been a roller coaster of a ride already. So hold on to the seat of your pants.
So, just
Then,
as we get going, I posted a link to the YouTube channel, and if it's possible for you to follow along on the YouTube channel instead of the X channel, there's a couple of reasons we would ask you to come over, but mostly it's because I'm about 130 hours away from getting monetized on YouTube. So if you can watch on YouTube, then I'm getting that much closer to getting paid for this. But that's the main reason. The other reason is that Elon Musk doesn't get paid for this, which it's not like it's going to make a difference to him, but still, I just feel better that way. Anyway, that's the way things go. And this is if you should know Nehan by now, my fearless co-host. So anyway, I just wanted to chat for a minute and kind of vent. I was always saying before the election, like if Donald Trump gets elected, we have no idea how bad it's going to be. And even though I was saying that, I had no idea how bad it is. I was expecting to be, like there'd be some resistance from the Democrats, but they've been resisting like warm butter resists a hot knife. It's there's a few exceptions, but by and large, the party has done nothing. Like the Republicans didn't need a majority to be obstructionists, and the Democrats don't either. Like they should. That Peter Hegseth got confirmed is insane. Yeah. As like one person told me, it was actually a message on or a post on Facebook that I thought summed it up really, really well. That if you make me the head of the Pentagon, I'll stop drinking. Has to be the most alcoholic thing anybody ever said, ever. And
sounds like any man whose wife wants to leave him. It's like that moment you're like, okay, I promise I'll stop. That's yeah. And then of course,
I mean, I'm pretty sure he downed a fifth of Jack to celebrate his new job.
Yeah.
It is like, and this is, like they talked about how what's his name? Austin was a DEI hire, and there was all this talk about, there was the meme about how Hegseth is a DUI hire. I mean, it's it's like it's assumed you're qualified if you're white. He was white and he served in the military, therefore he's okay to be Secretary of Defense. Well, so was I. I'm just as qualified as Peter Hegseth. Only I haven't like run a few countries or a few companies into the ground the way he has. And I'm also not an alcoholic and I don't beat my wife. So since I don't use women or drugs,
qualified now compared whatever the qualifications are now, I guess we can't meet those.
So like they can never say anything about DE hires ever again about anyone as far as I'm concerned. And now, they want to make Kash Patel the director of the FBI, which is insane.
Yeah.
That's like making what's his name? The Wisconsin guy that ate people. What's his name?
The Wisconsin guy that ate people.
Oh goodness, why is my brain?
Like John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah, that's like putting Jeffrey Dahmer in charge of the FDA. Like,
you'd say it's insane, but like, it's also insane that Trump is president again.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, I think with a lot of this, and then you've got Eric Trump is going on there, and he's talking about, like he posted this thing and then he deleted it after 20 minutes after this whole Columbia thing.
Mm-hmm. Columbia.
Yeah, I was joking. I don't know if anybody saw my post, but I was joking that Donald Trump is now gonna put a tariff on Columbia records and tapes, and if you still owe money on that, then he's gonna put a 25% tariff on it, and because he spelled Columbia with a U, right, Jeremy? He spelled Columbia with a U, so that's the joke. Is anyway. So Eric Trump. So after this whole Columbia fiasco, what really happened is they sent over some deportees in shackles on a military plane, and then Columbia said, we're not going to receive prisoners in receive deportations in shackles as though there's some sort of criminal that, and so they sent the plane back. They refused to accept the plane. And then Trump, then they sent them back without the shackles on and they accepted them. And now no,
that's not actually it. So Brazil is the one who actually received the deportees in handcuffs and shackled ankles. Colombia did not accept the military plane to be landed, but Brazil is the one who actually got the handcuffed individuals, and that's when Colombia refused.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is they refused.
They came from Brazil
for shackling them. And it's not like Colombia had this long history of refusing shackled or refusing deportations. There were like 419 flights or something. I can't remember how many that were received under Biden's administration. It's not like, Colombia has this long history of refusing, and then Donald Trump threatened to tax Americans if they didn't accept them. No, I mean, it was the Trump ended up cratering to Colombia's demands, and then he wants to make it sound like Colombia ended up cratering to his demands. And the thing that pisses me off about this is the way so much of the mainstream media has run with his narrative.
Yeah.
And made it sound like, this is a win for the Trump administration.
No,
they won the status fucking quo. That's what they did. And I think so. This is I'm gonna rant for a little bit. Nehan is gonna get her say in later, but I honestly have been so upset that I literally had to keep a bucket next to my bed for when I vomit at night. Like it's like between the long COVID that I've been having and this, it's literally making me physically ill. what's going on. And so that's why I haven't, been able to do this show lately. It's just it's the way that the Democrats and the mainstream media, like with these settlements where they're making it sound like Donald Trump had some kind of legitimate case against ABC and George Stephanopoulos, like with that. And now apparently they're talking about CBS might settle on the whole 60 Minutes editing the Kamala Harris interview. Like, it's just total and complete bullshit. And it's actually really a compromised media. So we have a compromised Democratic Party that's supposed to be providing the opposition, and we have a compromised media, which is supposed to be providing the truth. And so what we have now is just a stupid motherfucker thinking he runs the entire world. It's not just he runs the entire country. He thinks he runs the entire world, like every other country. If you're not a patriot, it's like he thinks you're not a patriot if you don't put America first, even if you're from another fucking country. Yeah. Like that's his mentality. And by America, he means Donald Trump. If you don't put Donald Trump first, then you're not a patriot, regardless of what country you're from. And because of that, you don't really even deserve to breathe oxygen. Sorry for the profanity. I try not to use profanity on this show, but it is like fucking ridiculous. So I just, for a while, I was, like with the appointments, and now they're talking, the withdrawal from the WHO. It's not like we have to worry about a pandemic with Donald Trump running things, because we all know that would never happen, or that 1 million people won't die because of it. Now he wants to step that up, withdraw the CDC from the WHO, appoint a guy who literally had a brainworm starve to death in his fucking brain as the Secretary of Health, right?
Yeah.
Like the guy that's pro outbreak, like he wants to put him in charge. He wants to make sure that nobody is able to monitor outbreaks. He's put a freeze on funding for virtually everything. So, except I think it's like Medicare or Medicaid and something else. Like he's using he's just like firing people for not being loyal to Trump. My dad is a retired diplomat. He was 20 years in the military, retired military. Then he joined the Foreign Service Department. He was there for another 25 years. He's retired there. Yeah, but his job, it was never a political job. Like in the Foreign Service, for those who don't know, in the Foreign Service you have political appointments and you have career diplomats, and there are some appointments that are purely political, and that's because they're in nice places, like in Brazil or in France or England or whatever, like where then they're more just rewards for donating money or whatever. They're not actually like we need this guy to maintain the relationship between France and the United States. So you have these guys that are completely unqualified to be ambassadors to places. So what they have is a system where you have like an ambassador that's a political ambassador, and then you'll have another guy that's usually called the deputy chief of missions. He's the number 2 guy. The DCM will always be a political appointment or always be a career person. And depending on what rank the person is, they have, like there's like ambassador level ranks. And so there's this whole ranking system for foreign service officers. And usually you have to be like at least an FS1, which would be about the equivalent to an Army colonel, a full colonel. And they're the ones that they have, like, they've been doing this there for a career. They actually know what's going on, and they're there to advise the ambassador, which actually means they actually do the job while the ambassador, goes to parties and
Right.
drinks champagne and eats caviar. So this is why you have like this separation. The federal government's always had this separation between the political appointments and career appointments. Now like my dad, his last job, there's a thing called the Summit of the Americas. I don't know if they still do it or not, but I think they do. And that was something that started under Clinton. And the whole idea was to maintain democracy in South America. So all the democratic countries in South America would come together once every few years and like just have discussions about that. They would negotiate things together and so on and so forth. And my dad was a logistical person. And he would put together, like, he wouldn't get involved in the policy of this, but in terms of, the setting up the actual summit, getting all the hotel arrangements made for all the staff and, making sure all that stuff got done. That was his job. He was the organizer for the Summit of the Americas, his last few years in office. Before that, he was DCM in Brazil. They have 2 consulates or two embassies. He was the DCM of one, and he was also the consulate officer, which means he was the guy that oversaw the immigration, or emigration, I should say, since he was actually in Brazil. But like, people would come and they would want to emigrate to the United States, and he would look through and confirm whether somebody was able to come or not. Or he was like in charge. They have an office. He was like the person in charge of that. Before that, he was ambassador to Iceland for a while. So he had a pretty decent career where he had accomplished something, but it was always political. Like, he was never a political person.
Civil service.
His politics never got involved in it.
Right.
And it's not like he, is not a personally political person. Like, he doesn't have personal politics or personal views, but his personal views were just personal. And so, like, when he he did a few stints in Brazil. His first stint, which was earlier on his career, George W. Bush was vice president. He had to go to the airport and take care of, George W. Bush for a couple of days. Or George H.W. Bush, Bush one, while Reagan was president, had to take care of him. And then when he was, when Clinton was president, and he was doing the Summit of the Americas, and then George W. Bush became president and changed the mission. And so he had to change what he did. Like the president determines the mission, and then the civil servants just do what they're supposed to do based on who the president is.
Mhm.
And they get used to it. Like they know that their job might change a little bit based on who the president is. And the president has the right to change, things. But
Right.
you need civil servants who aren't dependent, who aren't politically motivated, but who actually know what the job is. It's like if you chose your heart surgeon based on who they voted for. You don't care. You don't care about your heart surgeon's politics. You care that your heart surgeon knows how to do heart surgery.
Mhm.
Although I would question the thinking skills of a heart surgeon that voted for Trump. Like I wouldn't trust an immunologist that voted for Trump, but that's a different thing. Anyway,
Yeah, or a OBGYN either.
but so now they want to politicize the entire federal government, and unless you pass this loyalty test to Trump, then it's like you can't work for the federal government, and that's just stupid and chaotic.
Mhm.
Because the only qualification then becomes loyalty,
Right.
which means that you sacrifice competence on the altar of loyalty. It's not, and there's a lot of people that are focusing on the politics of it, but the effectiveness of our government is at stake. Like you're taking people that actually know how to do a job and putting it with people that just know how to blow Trump's mushroom.
Right.
And that cannot be positive. That's going to have negative consequences. And so it's almost like, and when I say it's almost like, I actually mean it's absolutely 100% like Donald Trump's goal is to destroy the government. And and you look at what he has done just in the first week, and he has made things worse for veterans. He's made things worse for trans people. He's made things worse for LGBTQ people. He's made things worse for immigrants, whether you're documented or not. He's made things worse for brown people, whether they're immigrants or not.
Yeah.
You've got like a veteran being detained and told his military records are fake. Because why? Because he's Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Like, that is just like so
Unthinkable.
He's Puerto Rican, he's a citizen, you dipshits.
Yeah.
And but that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And it's 1 week. We're 1 week in. And so I won't want to say that I'm like okay with things now, but I kind of had a breakthrough this weekend, and this is the point of my rant.
Mhm.
I've been trying to like sort of channel things, right? And try to okay, how can we fight back in a reasonable way? And especially when we have no support from the Democratic Party, we have no support from the media, although like there are some exceptions.
Sure.
And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But the first thing that I've been trying so hard to keep my temper about this, that I gave myself permission is to be fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Like, stop pretending like we shouldn't, people say, don't be angry, do this. No, be angry. And let that anger motivate you and energize you to do this. Like, stop acting like we shouldn't be pissed. We're allowed to be pissed. It's our fucking country too. It's like they're always talking about, the angry MAGA voters, and like they were, remember the days of what was it? Economic anxiety or whatever the fuck that was. and they're angry. And then it's like when the Democrats get mad, they're like, you angry, bro? Yes, I'm fucking angry. Why aren't you?
You triggered? Yeah, it's like, why aren't you mad?
I'm mad. Yeah. I am mad that the Secret Service would go and harass an 11-year-old child because they said something mean to Trump.
Right.
You know, it's like, what the fuck kind of country do you call that freedom in? You know, where even an 11-year-old child doesn't have the freedom to insult an orange bulbous sack of shit. So first of all, like, be pissed off, like really be pissed off, but let that anger energize you and motivate you to not just, you know, tweet mean things on the internet. Like, so one thing you can do is this is what we can learn from the MAGA. This is the number one thing we can learn from the MAGAs. Primary the fuck out of anybody that's not resisting.
Yeah.
You know, it is not what we do is we always wait and we complain like halfway through the primaries about, you know, oh, the Democrats are stacking this or that. Well, that's too late.
Yeah.
You know, it's not too late right now. If you are in a district where you have a congressman that is not doing everything they can, and I almost want to say by that I mean someone other than AOC or Jasmine Crockett.
Right.
If your congressman is not actively in the face of the media, yelling and being as obnoxious as possible, primary them. And if you don't have somebody primary them, you know, like to support to primary them, think about doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Like I'm seriously considering, you know, trying to run, but it's like McCall is my representative and he always wins like 70 to 30%. But
yeah, right.
You're something like, but like, especially if you have a Democratic congressman,
yeah,
primary them. Try and try and get somebody in Congress who will. So that's number one. Is start fighting now. Don't wait until January of 2020, whatever, 26. To start raising a stink. Raise a stink now. Make them listen to you. Everybody's like, oh, call your congressman. Well, do you think, or call your senator? Like, if I call Ted Cruz, you think he really gives a fuck?
Yeah, I'm gonna call Marsha Blackburn. What?
Yeah.
She's not. They're not listening to.
If you call them, it's just like they count it as a win.
Yeah, they're like, oh, see, we have
95% of their goal is to own the libs.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as they own the libs, as far as the Republicans are concerned, they are winning. It doesn't mean, and they're the MAGA voters. Like all of these federal programs that are frozen that the MAGA voters are all happy about. It's, oh, Marsha can go. You know what I call her, by the way? You know what my nickname for her is? Senator Wheathead. It's like she's trying to
the higher the hair, the closer to God. It's what it is.
Which it's better than my nickname for Ted Cruz is Senator Fuckface.
There you go.
I mean, it's like, and it's like, if you were to just say in random conversation, if you were to just throw out Senator Fuckface, everybody would immediately know
who that is.
Even if you didn't qualify it with, Ted Cruz or whatever, everybody, oh yeah, that's Ted Cruz. Even his beard hates him because it's always trying to escape. Like if you notice, like the animal that lives on his face. But they're not going to be like, oh, The voters
Oh,
are
look, our constituents don't like that. No, they're like, well, they didn't vote for me anyway, so I could give two
Yeah.
shits about what they're saying. And that's, Kelly, I want to ask you about that. So, like, you're saying if your representatives aren't out here screaming, which everybody should be doing, and I want to bring up later the conversation that we had last time in regards to the messaging on the Democratic side, because I think that a lot of stuff has shifted since we talked last. We remember we were talking about how it wasn't just the Democratic messaging, it's been the media. However, I'm not seeing all of the Democratic representatives out doing what they should be doing right now, which is screaming from the rooftops, getting in front of a camera with a microphone. Like, why aren't we seeing senators and congressmen in front of the camera with the U.S. Capitol Police behind them saying, I can't fucking believe that he pardoned 1,500 of the January 6th rioters. Like, why is that not happening? Why aren't we having more press conferences about that? Why isn't that being, why aren't we seeing that? Like, where are the Democrats right now? Like, I saw the post that Jeffries made on Twitter where he was like, God is always on the throne. And like, I'm not a religious person. I'm not, that part has nothing to do with it. But it's like, what are you doing? Like, that doesn't accomplish anything. Why aren't you actually doing the work that needs to be done right now? Like, where is everybody? That's my question. So like, I would say there's a lot of congressmen that we need to be getting out of office, but because nobody's doing anything, right? We're just like laying down and taking it. And I hate that. Like, that's what's infuriating me the most right now, is that we're not seeing them do anything. They're just, I mean, like, there were 7 Democrats that voted for Kristi Noem. They have to do that. Look, how the fuck did Mitch McConnell have more balls than Democrats and vote against Pete Hegseth? Like, how did that happen? How did he go ahead and do that? I don't care, whatever. He's on his way out. Say what you want to say about that.
I think a lot of that though was choreographed.
What, like, with Mitch McConnell?
Yeah, they wanted to have the
tie-breaking vote with JD Vance. Oh, I don't disagree.
Like if Mitch McConnell would have actually, done the John McCain thing, where his vote broke the tie.
Yes, right.
I don't know if he would have. It was like Jeremy says. Yeah, it was performative because they had 50 guaranteed, and that is 100%.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
It was just theatrics.
The bigger part about that is less about the Mitch McConnell theatrical performance and more about the bowing down and bowing out of the Democratic Party. They don't need to vote on any of these nominations. The Republicans have it already. There's no reason for any single Democrat to approve.
Isn't it funny that the only Democrats with balls are women?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Like, I mean, like if I were 30 years younger, I would be getting totally shot down by AOC and Jasmine Crockett. I'm just like, they are both amazing, beautiful, intelligent, courageous young women, and I admire them both.
Right. And I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, we need more people like them.
Augie wants love.
Yeah, I know. We need more people like them in Congress, though. And so, but all we're getting is the white-haired old white guys that really aren't doing much for anybody. There has to be some sort of change in that regard for us to be doing anything. And right now, it's like it's more important than ever because things are happening so quickly, right? Like, it's been a week. I can't believe what has already happened in a week. As you said, you've been sick to my stomach, as have I. It has been undigestible in regards to everything that's happened. I mean,
some people will look at that and they'll say, oh, and on the libs. And it's just like, do you care? Do you care about this country at all? Do you care about other human beings?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if Joe Biden had sent the Secret Service after an 11-year-old kid because he said something? Can you imagine how much reaction there would be from the conservative media.
Yeah.
Like it would be surreal.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So here's the other part of what I think we can do. I think one, we need to like, fuck calling your Republican congressman, but call your Democratic congressman.
Yeah.
And if you don't have one, call the closest one. Like
Yeah.
call, like do like let the Democratic Party know we need you to sack the fuck up. Now, the second thing you can do, and this might be more important, and I've mentioned this a little bit before, but CNN is not going to help us.
No.
MSNBC is not going to help us. Fox News sure is not going to help us. The broadcast news media isn't going to help us because they're all, and I can kind of understand it. And like in some ways I want to get angry about it, but everybody has bosses, right?
Yeah.
Or else they're unemployed or they're self-employed, and then they have customers. And everybody answers to somebody eventually, except for Donald Trump.
Right.
And and even the networks have
the board.
You ever notice like a lot of the people who sponsor a lot of the news shows, it's like, why is Accenture buying MSNBC ads? Is it so that we, the consumers, can buy Accenture? Or like Accenture doesn't even sell any products, right? Accenture is a staffing agency,
right?
Or it's not. I mean, it does. It's essentially like a staffing agency.
Sure.
It's not like selling. It's not like selling something.
That's not an advertisement for you or me.
Yeah. So why are they buying ads? Who are they trying to sell something to? And it's like they're not trying to sell something to anybody.
Yeah.
They might be trying to sell their stock a little bit, but mostly what they're doing is they are renting news.
Yeah.
They're using their advertising dollars to fund MSNBC so that they can tell MSNBC what they need to report, right? So what we need to do, and this is something that again, we need to learn from MAGA. And people are like, oh, we need to go on podcasts. And it's like this notion that, like, I've heard people say, if Kamala Harris had gone on Joe Rogan's podcast, then that would have, changed. No, if Kamala Harris had gone on Joe Rogan's podcast, it would not have changed a damn thing, because he's sitting there talking to them every day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, right? And he's got all the, it's not like they're going to have Kamala Harris go on for 2 hours and have this one interview and everybody's going to be like, mind blown.
What? That changed my opinion on her.
No.
180 here.
What the MAGAs do is they support independent media. And when I say support independent media, I mean Joe Rogan is rich as fuck.
Yeah.
And some of that is, Tucker Carlson, funding, like little fallacy machines like Will Shapiro.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Is it
Ben Shapiro?
Ben Shapiro. Guy's about as sharp as a sponge. He's actually not a stupid guy.
He's not, but he's a fucking idiot, though. He's not stupid.
No, he knows how to spin a fallacy.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to get his wife wet, though. So
no. Maybe another woman would.
Right.
There's a famous Aquaman thing where he's like, he was talking about the Well, what's to prevent people, if global warming's gonna cause um I don't know if you've seen it. There was like a clip where he's sitting there saying, "Oh, if climate change is so bad, then what's gonna, like people are worried. Oh, the ocean's gonna rise a few inches, and so it might cause a few houses to go underwater, and like what's to stop people from just selling their homes and moving inland?" And then so some guys, the guy, there's the like Jack Nicklaus's, The Shining kind of thing through a wall or
Yeah.
a door. And he's like, who do you think's gonna buy these houses? Fucking Aquaman? And
The deep.
and so like it's an obvious hole in what Shapiro is trying to present as
A solution.
as a solution, or he's like, what's the difference between a man in a coma and a fetus? And it's like a fucking birth certificate. Like,
Right?
like,
Let's count the ways.
yeah, so he's always got these, like, he thinks these are these great
Moments.
gotcha arguments that are just dumber than he is. And I
Yeah.
mean, he went to, like, he's not a stupid person. He graduated from Harvard. So he's not a stupid person, but he knows how to persuade stupid people.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Con man. You can be smart con man.
so like, this is the other thing we need to do is nobody can work for free, right?
Yeah.
And so we go online, and the first thing we do is we turn on our ad blockers, right? Everybody's got their little ad blockers, and then they don't want to pay subscription fees for sites or for news, right? They don't want to pay for their subscriptions. And then when they, like if they watch news or something, then they don't want to see any advertisements on YouTube or whatever. And so, like, there's only so many ways content creators can get paid, right?
Right.
One is to work for somebody else, like MSNBC or whatever. Then, like when I was an NBA writer, this is not political, but to give you an idea how some of this stuff works, I worked for Bleacher Report for a while, which was bought out by Turner, which is also owns CNN. So I have some insight into how they work. And what we would get, I would have to write 3 articles a week. And they would send me headlines for these articles. And I was allowed some pushback. But basically, they told me what to write about. I didn't go, and I was allowed to, give pitches and stuff, but more or less they had the say in what I wrote about. I didn't decide I was going to write about this. I was technically freelance, but not so free, more Lance. And so they would write me, like they would assign me why Michael Jordan, or like why Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James, or why LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. And I personally hate the whole, GOAT arguments, like in sports, because I think they're stupid. I think, like, whether LeBron James or Michael Jordan was greater is an impossible thing to discuss and a stupid thing to discuss. Right. I think they are both great, amazing players with incredible Hall of Fame careers, and they should just both be appreciated, not compared. Like, that's my logic, right? So if you're an NBA fan, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but that's where I'm at. I hate writing about this comparative crap, because when you start getting into the comparative crap, it's almost like it always comes to diminishing one player's accomplishments over the others. So anyway, enough on that. You were told what to write about. So if you're being paid by Turner, you're probably being told what to write about. Maybe if you're Rachel Maddow, you have a little more freedom than if you're, Joe Bob Joe, or whatever your name is. But I can guarantee you, even Rachel Maddow has somebody looking at what she's discussing,
Right.
and there's some limits on that, right? So you're always beholden to somebody if you're working for the media, or if you're working a in a paid publication. I don't even want to say mainstream media because that's such
A
a
network, an agency, a publication,
talk
something.
about the mainstream media. You know, like you'll have Republicans talk about the mainstream media. You'll have Fox News talk about the mainstream
Yeah.
media.
It's like you are. What are you talking about?
Media. So just there's always, you always got to pay the master. The other way you can do it is be an independent content creator, right?
Right.
And if you're an independent content creator, there are 3 ways primarily that you can get paid money. One is through online print ad, or like the web advertisements, right?
Mhm.
And just so if you don't know how, if you've never been in this business and don't know how it works, if you're on if you go to a page and there's advertisements there, then it has a way, it can tell how long you're on that page.
Mhm.
And that page, if you're on that page, then for like more than a minute or something, so it's like it has a way of telling
Time,
really reading this article, or did you just, is it just called click through? And they even have like a click through rate where it looks at, okay, what % of people actually spent time reading this article. The longer you spend on the article, the more those advertisements pay the owner of the website.
Mhm.
So if you spend over a minute, you get paid more money than if you spend a couple of seconds, right? And if you have ad blockers on, you don't get paid at all. Okay, so one thing you can do is just turn off your ad blocker when you're going to read content that is from an independent writer.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Just,
Free money for them. Just turn it off.
like, it costs you nothing except having a thing on your page. So like if you're actually reading the article, just turn off your ad blocker. That's one thing.
Set it like with majority of them, like the plugins in Chrome, you can set it to turn it off for that specific page. So anytime you visit it, it's off. Yeah.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Then another thing you can do if you like really wanted to go the next level is, it's like, I don't remember, I don't know what it is right now, but when I was doing it, it was like you got paid like 1 cent for a view.
Mhm.
You got paid like $1 for a click.
Right.
So even if you don't buy something, if you click on a website, or if you click on an advertisement, the amount of money that content creator gets paid is exponentially more.
Right.
And if you actually buy something, then it goes up even more.
Right.
But my point is, you can help a content creator get paid a lot more money without even spending any money.
Mhm.
So like, and it's like, we want everything for free, and we want it all without any like, we don't want to have to wait an extra second for our web page to vote. Like, we want it without any inconvenience at all. But it's
Right.
like, when you do that, you're like asking for independent media to work for free. And it's like, would you work for free? It's like tipping your waiter.
Yeah.
I actually, now that I think about it, that's a great analogy.
Mhm.
Just turning off your ad blocker is like, it's like tipping your server at a restaurant.
Yep.
It's like tipping your server for free. So that's one thing you can do. And then click on the ads and stuff. If you're listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video and they like an ad comes up there, again, you get, if you're a YouTube creator, for instance, you get paid for a viewed ad.
Right.
A viewed ad.
Not skipped through.
Yeah. If you just, like if you skip it, they don't. I think maybe you get paid a little bit. I'm not sure, but if you actually watch the ad, so take 20 seconds out of your life and let the ad play, or even just have it playing in the background. You don't have to like sit there and
Have
like
to watch it. Yeah, they're not tracking whether or not your eyes are on the screen just yet.
Yeah. So you can, like if you just have just switch to a different tab and
Yeah.
check your tweets or your Blue Sky posts, which is far better. Like just like help the the creator venues pay the content creator. Like help the content creator. And then most importantly, don't just cancel your Washington Post subscription, your Amazon Prime account, your New York Times subscription, and all of that. Take the money that you were paying that and, like pay for some Substacks.
Yep.
Or some, like some of these subscriptions, like
Patreons for podcasts, all that. Yeah.
Like whatever. There's some, I like, and right now I don't work for Midas Touch. I wouldn't mind if I did.
Yeah.
But of all, like there is probably one truly independent site that actually has some clout, because you also want some clout. And I'll talk about that in a minute with the whole Washington Post, New York Times thing. Is like Midas Touch is the one that actually has some, reach. Like they were able to get a sit down interview with President Biden at the end of his term. They're the ones that have like millions of eyes on them every day. And that matters, because you also want some influence, right?
Right.
There's some other things. I'm gonna put together, if you're on Blue Sky, I need to like flesh things out, but I want to put together a list and a starter pack for independent creators that I think are worth subscribing to or following in some way. Mueller, she wrote, I think is fantastic. Her name is Allison. I can't think of her last
name. Gil.
Yeah.
And Dana Goldberg are both on that show. Yeah.
And they have their podcasts.
Yeah.
And that's that's a good thing to listen to. And her website is
she
there.
does a Substack as well.
And a Substack.
Yeah.
Aaron Ruper has a great Substack and he's a great follow on Blue Sky. So, and there's others. And hey, I'll humbly throw out my Substack, which is nowhere near as big, but if you wanted to follow my Substack, go ahead and subscribe. And there's this wonderful channel that you can like and subscribe to. You can do that right now. But help independent creators like make a living, so they can pay their bills and have electricity and stuff like that. Like that is an imperative. Like you can't expect content creators to like work for free. And I'm not talking about, some of the, like TikTok videos where they like make stupid things with food and then they got like it's like it sucks. It's like all you need to do to get a viral video is to like do stupid things with food and get 5 million rage views, right?
Yeah. What a waste. What a waste.
You can make Jell-O in the toilet, and it's like,
yeah, you can, but should you? And like, why? Well, I don't know. Oh man.
So like, somebody. I am not familiar with Sarah.
She's an author. She wrote The View from Flyover Country, Hiding in Plain Sight, and they knew, and so it's all about Trump and the conspiracy culture of conspiracy. Yeah, definitely.
I'm familiar with that. I just didn't know that. So anyway, I'll put her on that starter pack.
Yeah, she also has a Substack as well.
So anybody that wants to, throw any recommendations, just send me a message here on Twitter or on Blue Sky, and I'm gonna put everything together. And it might take a day or two, but I really like this. Is to me this to me is critical.
Yeah,
Because if we want to fight back, we have to actually fight back with more than angry tweets and fist pumps. Like, we need to fight back with our pocketbook if we can. And I say this knowing full well not everybody has money to spend on Substacks.
right.
So that's what I'm saying. If you cancel, like I really predicated this.
If you can afford it for Washington Post,
You can afford the Washington Times,
yeah,
or the New York Times, and then you canceled the New York Times because they're a bunch of treasonous fucks. Use that money on people that oppose treasonous fucks.
Right.
Like just, it's not asking you to spend more money. It's just asking you to spend the same money in a smarter way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like support independent media. That is because the real opposition, if it's not going to come from the Democrats and it's not going to come from corporate media, where is it going to come from?
Right.
It's only going to come from independent media, and independent media is only going to have the clout if they can actually spend money, or if they can actually make money. And I'm not talking about get rich money. I'm talking about
being able to stay afloat.
Electric bill money. Like,
yeah, do the job.
So the next thing that I what was I? There was one other point. See, this is why I need to write outlines.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
You said turn your ad blocker off if you're looking at their media, subscribe to it, to any of their Substacks or podcasts, just subscribing in general, clicking on ads, those sort of things. You think you had one other point that you wanted to make in regards to how else to support, or how we get this? Because we talked about the Democratic representatives too. So we're talking, that was kind of the main thing that we're talking about.
Yeah, this was like another Roman numeral rather than like a
yeah.
Anyway, if it comes back to me, it'll come back to me. So anyway, Nehan, I've been doing the majority of the talking. I'm sure you're got some things you're sitting on here.
See, I have an outline for what my soapbox moment. But I just to piggyback on what you're saying, like I agree, like not everybody has the funds, but there's ways that you can support independent media without the money. Yeah, go ahead if you remember now.
Okay, so this is the other thing. So and this is where I go back and forth on even things like whether or not you should continue your Washington Post subscription or your New York Times subscription. And that is there's kind of a combination of access and I don't know. You're going to get more done. You're going to like firepower, I guess would be a way to put it. Like I'm never going to have the impact of the Washington Post, no matter how right I am about it, because I'm not the Washington Post, and because most of the investigative journalists at the Washington Post, I will admit, are better at their jobs than me. And so it's like you can't fault the investigative reporters at the Washington Post for Jeff Bezos determining that the Post is not going to endorse the presidential candidates anymore.
Right.
Like, that's not their fault.
No.
Right? but they, and some of them were so upset they left.
Oh, yeah.
But like, not everybody should, like, how many of us are in a position, like, are you in a position where you have to choose to like leave your career? Which, if you're working for the Washington Post, you have attained something in your career.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's not a lot of room up from the Washington Post. You're one of the most prestigious newspapers in the world. Probably the only place you can go up is like the New York Times. Maybe the Boston Globe is like a lateral movement. But
Yeah.
it's like, you're talking about one of the most prestigious newspapers in the world. They're not hiring people out of college that graduated from University of North Dakota at the Washington Post, right? Like,
No.
you've had to like prove yourself in your career and work your way up to that position.
Mhm.
And that's also why you have access. It's not just you work for the Post, you have a track record, right?
Right.
And so when you look at some of the things that have come out that have exposed Trump, they've come out from papers like the Washington Post and the New York Times,
Right.
right? So where is the investigative journalism going to come from if we all just pull out of supporting the ones that are doing it just because of Jeff Bezos or the ownership of the Los Angeles Times or the New York Times? Like, and I'm not sure how to balance that all out, but I think we need to stop making the employees responsible for the decisions of the employers, because Jeff Bezos is not going to be the one that's hurt by
No.
pulling your Washington Post subscription or canceling your Amazon subscription. Who's going to be hurt are the reporters for the Washington Post or the drivers for Amazon. Like, those are, and it's like, I understand there's like a lot of nuanced argument on this, this whole thing. But let's not oversimplify things and just feel like, oh, if you, if you still have your Amazon subscription, you're basically a MAGA. It's like, no, it's not that simple.
No, I mean, there's that idea about ethical consumption. You can think about it when you go shop at a store, or where your products are coming from. The same rules kind of can apply to a digital service or a subscription to a newspaper, or your Amazon Prime account. Like, I mean, what you said is absolutely correct. It's not going to affect Jeff Bezos' pocket. It's going to affect his employees' pocket. And I feel like there is a line that has to be drawn at some point. I'm not sure where that line is, where, when do we stop that? Where does the ethical consumption, what's your limit? I don't think that the Washington Post is the limit of where it is right now, but I have a feeling that at some point it's going to get to where I have concerns where these career reporters and investigative journalists are willing to stay there on with the company because of the behaviors and the tactics that they're using to, not let them do their jobs.
Yeah, but I mean, like, let's say it's like, it's not necessarily a question of their ethics. It's also a question of, like, where do you go? Like, it's
Right,
like,
what's doable, right? Is
you're losing, like, if I don't know how much they make, but I know that journalism is not the highest paid career. It's not like, but I imagine you probably make more at the Washington Post than you do at the Austin State Times.
right.
And so it's like, yes, you can probably still go get a job, but it's probably going to be a 50% pay cut. And it's like, how many people right now can afford a 50% pay cut? I mean,
People.
especially, like, if you're not, like, if you're a millionaire, like Tucker Carlson was, then, and then you get, like, it's just, I think people oversimplify things into, You know, you're either for or against. And it's like, no, there are real life decisions with real life people that
Right.
have real life consequences. And some of those reporters did quit, but I'm not ready to judge the ones that didn't.
Yeah. Well, those were, senior tenured journalists, cartoonists that have been in the industry for a long time. So I'm sure they're not making what the average news editor or writer is, or reporter, which I looked it up. It's between $55,000 and $100,000 per year at the Washington Post. So half of any of those incomes is going to be a punch to the gut in regards to your ability to survive and make a living.
And
But
the less you make, this is counterintuitive, the less you make, the more half is, if you follow me.
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like, I'd rather be making $100,000 a year and have a cut to 50,000 than making 50,000 and getting a cut to 25,000. Because if you're making 100,000, there's probably some expendable income in there, and you can probably, tighten things up and get by on 50,000. But if you're making 50,000, you're getting by already.
Wow. Yeah, you're already struggling to make ends meet. You don't have
There's no cushion.
entire savings money in your bank account. There's no, that doesn't exist for people, most people that are on that income bracket.
So anyway, that's my, and then where is this where is the investigative reporting going to come from? That was my, like, who's going, like, where would the like the when Trump's tax records got exposed, it was the Times that did it, right? So where
I believe so, yeah.
Where, I think they won a Pulitzer for that. And where would that reporting be now? Like, if there's not the funding for it. And
yeah, but you have to wonder though, is that reporting going to survive with these tech oligarchies, taking the knee, kissing the ass to Trump for these next 4 years? I mean, we're already seeing the changes that they're making. I mean, hell, Google's going to change on their map the Gulf of America. It's just like it's starting already. And so you have to wonder, of course, I'm sure a lot of these things that we are questioning, the questions that we're asking and things that we're concerned about, we worried about last time, right, when he was president. But this time feels different. It really does.
And that's where I, like I say, I don't know the answers. I don't have the answers. But and again, that's why I think, like, especially Midas Touch, the one like they are one of the few places that might have the clout and the spine to still break something like that. Anyway,
yeah, I don't know though. That's the thing. Like, I think it's really important to stay to stay mad, like you said. Like, it's not only is it okay to be mad, resistance is no longer optional, right? This is not an option anymore. Like, to just stay neutral and on the sidelines in regards to everything that's happening, that's not an option anymore. That's not optional. You can't just do that anymore because of what we're seeing happening right now. So being involved in the ways that you're explaining and describing with independent media, the little things that we can do. Oh, good God forbid you watch a minute ad on an independent journalist's YouTube channel or whatever. Well, hopefully we'll still have YouTube instead of having to listen to ham radio and get our news that way. Like, this is a simpler way to do it if we continue to promote independent media. If you don't want to do that, then good luck to whatever options we have left over after the fact, right? So I don't think that it's a big ask. I think that if getting the right news out is important to people, they're going to do the right thing. But again, I just, I worry about, as you said, you can't blame the journalists that are still at Washington Post. I don't think most people are doing that. I think most people are more reasonable in regards to the fact that, hey, you have a life, that's a job. But, I really am concerned that there's going to be a point where it's no longer independent of the government media anymore. I have a feeling that it's already turning into, I mean, look what Mark Zuckerberg did. He took away fact checking off of Facebook and all Meta applications. To benefit who? To benefit.
I want to correct your pronunciation on Zuckerberg.
What is it?
The Z is actually pronounced with a PH sound. A lot of people don't know that.
What is it now?
The Z is actually pronounced with a PH sound.
Zuckerberg. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. I always forget that one. I pronounce his name wrong all the time. But yeah, so he did that for whose benefit? Not the user's benefit. He did it for Trump's benefit. Again, the same thing with Jeff Bezos and the Washington Post. It's not like we don't see clearly what's happening with Google and the Panama shit. Like we're seeing it happening right in front of us. And I said something the other day about how everything seems to be happening quickly because all these big executive orders are going on and they're very distracting. And what they do is what is it that Steve Bannon had said during the last election or the election prior to this one when he won? It was essentially like flood the news with shit, right? Just like send all this shit out so that what's really important, what's going to be most impactful in regards to the changes that they're making and implementing, they're going to be able to do those under the radar because everybody's focused on the fact that the Colombian president and Trump are arguing over Twitter and, President Gustavo is like, I'll die true to my principles. I resisted torture. I'll resist you. Like, great story, but it's not talking about the fact that, Trump closed down the, the federal education, the board. Do you know what I'm talking about, Kelly? I can't remember the acronym for it, but it's the one that helps prevent things like school shootings. They shut it down.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Like I read more. I've checked. I'll check all different news sources online. The top stories are more about this spat between President Gustavo and Trump than that important shit, or the fact that the Office of Personnel Management is getting taken over by Elon and Doge and what's her name? Amanda Scales, that used to be a part of his AI team back over on Twitter, that they're infiltrating their offices, getting rid of anybody that's not a yes man. And then they're setting up their own server and sending out emails to be like, hey, how about you tell on all of your coworkers and your employees who shouldn't have a job? What are, who's a DEI hire? Who has expressed these opinions about this, that, and the other. Like,
by the way, I would like to know how you identify a DEI hire if you don't see race.
Right. Well, I mean, they're going to say because there's certain language that is used within either their application.
How do you know that person wasn't the most qualified to be hired?
Right. Exactly. Do you
how do you know they're hired because of that language? Like I can taking out, but they're going to go through and they're going to review and see who the DEI hires were. So are they going to review white people?
No. And, white women have benefited a lot from DEI initiatives. That is
white men. Are they going to review? Just Pete Hegseth, for crying out loud. Although I do like the one, you know what DEI actually stands for? Donald, Eric, and Ivanka.
Yeah, and Ivanka. Yeah, just like MAGA stands for Meta, Apple, Google, Amazon.
I hadn't heard that one, but that sounds right.
Yeah, but that's, if we're talking about the news, to segue from that, it's just like, why aren't those stories out there right now? Like, I even finding out about the 11-year-old that the Secret Service was visiting in Chicago, that was not. That part did not make the headlines. It was all the other stuff. But like what actually happened or what they're claiming actually happened didn't make the headlines. It was the other stuff, the distracting things. So, that even all the more reason to support independent media because they're not all putting out the things that are actually important and going to affect people.
So I just want to highlight Jeremy's comment here. A lot of DEI policies are used to improve the application pool rather than to force hiring of certain classes of people. And I'd like to point this out because this is an excellent point. DEI is not a hiring quota. It's not anything like that. It is looking and saying, look, we're not hiring Black people. Maybe we need to like reach out and recruit more Black people. And
I think it's also that they're not applying to the job because they don't think that they're going to get it because we don't have a history of hiring them.
Not like they are trying to, like they're shutting the doors down to white people and they're only looking at Black people. They go, oh, there's, like with the pilots, for instance, there was there are just not enough pilots. And so they look around and they say, where can we get people that we aren't, and it's true, like 90% of pilots are white males. And so they say, oh, maybe we could go and find qualified pilots if we recruited at Black colleges the way we recruit at mostly white colleges. And so they go there and they find qualified Black people that are just as qualified as the white people that they've been recruiting for all these years. And they recruit Black people and then they hire Black people. And then you have people like Ben fucking Shapiro go on and say, was it Ben? No, it was Forehead.
Charlie Kirk. Charles Kirk.
Yeah. And I appreciate that you gather who I was talking about from that clue. But oh, I saw a Black pilot and I had to wonder if he was qualified. It's like, fuck you. You're you dropped out of community, you flunked out of community college, and then you made a living going around to colleges talking about how you're not allowed to talk at colleges.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk about a DEI hire? Dude, you are not even, you're qualified for nothing whatsoever. You're not qualified to like run the fry station at McDonald's. And you're going to talk about a DEI hire?
Yeah, no, he's not qualified for anything other than a study on large gums. No, right. That's crazy. And again, it's like, all that's happening there is it's that narrative, that white nationalist narrative, that replacement theory narrative. That's what it is. It's
Potato Head would run a fry station at McDonald's, right?
Yeah, Mr. Potato Head, if you put his head in the fryer.
Yeah, maybe if you could like
it's a one-time shot.
Make fries out of his head, that would be something he's qualified.
Yeah, just that only reason. So there's two people that this would apply to. It would either be Charlie Kirk or Matt Gaetz. But because we're talking about somebody like a podcaster, applied pretty quickly.
So all right, with your
no, of course. But again, I think that just to kind of, I'm sure we'll rehash on some more too, but just the media thing. That is what I'm saying. Like there are so many other important stories that were not at the top of the list on the top stories on every news outlet that I look at when I get up in the morning and just check and see what is going on this morning. It's all the like what Steve Bannon said, which was or Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon said, good Lord. Steve Bannon said, which was pump it full of shit.
Steve Bannon, there's like a lot that you can, that's actually a pretty good Freudian slip as they go.
Yeah, oh man, that kid. I think it's hilarious how the right is all like, oh, he's prep for president. They're grooming him to be like, are you kidding me? Did you see him next to Elon at the inauguration? Like Elon's is over behind him, like losing his fucking mind on acid or ketamine. I don't even know what the guy's under the influence of, but you can definitely tell he blasted off at that point during that clip. And Barron Trump is just sitting there like, totally out of his element. Have you not seen what I'm talking about, Kelly?
You're like,
no.
Like the Elon ketamine trip. I avoided the inauguration like I would like avoiding throw
like the plague. I mean, because it was essentially a plague. But I digress. But so again, support independent media, as Kelly said. However, I want to ask you a couple of questions because it's been a minute since we've got to talk. And like we said, the last time we talked was about messaging of the Democratic Party as well as the media's treatment of them. And what I mentioned earlier, which I want to get your opinion on, was these nomination votes. You know, we talked about Pete Hegseth and how Mitch McConnell's performance art of voting against not to nominate him when they already knew they had the 50 anyways. Well, what about Kristi Noem? What do you think is going to actually happen with Pam Bondi? What's going to happen with Robert Kennedy? What's going to happen with Kash Patel? What do you think?
Let's start with Kash Patel. I mean, like, it's not like the Democrats voted for Mr. Drunk. But I just and I get where you're coming from with the, like, I don't think that things are mutually exclusive.
Okay.
To get to your question as I gather my thoughts here. Yes, the Democrats need to fight back harder. And yes, the media needs to do more to actually present what the Democrats are doing.
Well, we know that part's not going to happen.
So it's like, and that's why I say who is getting their faces out there? Jasmine Crockett and AOC, and right. I think
and Ratcliffe.
Yeah, Ratcliffe and Jamie. What's his name? Jamie. And then I think Adam Schiff. I think there's a few here and there. But, and then you've got I think Chuck Schumer takes a little too much heat, but I also think he needs to I'm going to put this the only way that makes sense, or he needs to be an asshole. Republican they need to be obnoxious. The Democrats are trying too hard to be diplomatic and stuff. Yeah. They need to be assholes. Yeah. And I mean this in the kindest, most loving, most respectful possible way. AOC and Jasmine Crockett are being assholes. But I mean that they're the
most lovable cunts. And I love that. Be a cunt. Be annoying. Be aggressive. Be in your face. Interrupt things. Yeah. Be a disruptor. That's what they're doing. Nobody else is doing that. That's everybody else is like, oh, well, we have to have composure and we need to be seen as the party of reason and whatever. No, none of this is reasonable anymore.
Stop. Jim Jordan just screams over everybody all the time. It's somebody needs to tell Jim Jordan to stand up and say, shut the fuck up, you hyena.
Yes,
Democrats need to be as obnoxious as MAGA is.
Yeah.
And then maybe that will start getting the media's attention. It's not like Lauren Boebert is getting media attention because of her brilliance.
No, she's getting it because, she's saying that men are in the women's bathroom, but obviously she can't find a penis except for in a dark theater at a Beetlejuice, right. Showing, but not in a well-lit bathroom in a public restroom, which is just insane. But yeah, just that, and that's, so what, when the Democrats had their kind of meeting, they were like, one of the great things about the last election during COVID, we went viral for whoever, I can't remember the congressman's Twitter post about a bad tuna melt. Okay, great, funny, haha, you went viral about that. How about going viral for what Jasmine Crockett said? That actually, there was an exchange, a political exchange on the committee floor, and that's what came from that. And that made a difference in a lot of people's opinions. That touched people. They heard that, and then they went and saw the exchange and saw that discussion that happened. Nobody gives a shit about a tuna melt, whether it's good or bad. I could care less about a tuna melt. That was funny. That made people pay attention.
And I love a good tuna melt.
Yeah, right. Apparently, but not that, guys. Whoever was that made it. It was.
But tuna melt in a microwave is just come on.
No, yeah.
Stole my man. But anyway.
Yeah, it was Senator Mark Warner made a tuna melt. It was a disaster. But I digress. But again, we need to be doing more that it's like garnering attention, just like you said, like when you can be a Chuck Schumer, who was it? Jim Jordan, be a Jim Jordan, like maybe not in policy, but in bad behavior, like act badly, behave badly, like, with, of course, like, with good intent, but it's like be a rabble rouser, as Jeremy says. Do that, because we're at the point now where without that, we're not going to accomplish anything.
Yeah.
We're already losing people on the left day in and day out. The Democrats aren't doing
a wrestling match if you're in a fight with somebody and they throw sand in your eyes and you don't throw sand back, you're just a pussy.
Right. Yeah,
like, exactly. Like, don't be a bunch of pussies. That's just giving things away. Although, like there is, like actually pussies are warm and embracing and life-giving. Yeah. And, like they're actually, I mean, so sorry. I don't mean to insult pussies.
Don't be a scrotum. But no, I mean, that's the thing. Like, they're losing traction. And I mean, we saw it happening immediately after the election. I think there's going to be study upon study and, papers, books written about why the election didn't go our way, this time. But I think that everybody's feeling disenfranchised. People are feeling burnt out, and the Democrats aren't doing anything to help get people out of that rut. I'm sure that they're feeling it as well, but guess what? Like, their job is to continue to do the fight and to be there and to represent their constituents. And I just feel like I'm wondering I'm not alone in this. I'm just wondering where are they? Where are they? Like, I feel like we've been left high and dry. I mean, it's like it's been a weekend, and Trump has done as much as he's done. What have the Democrats have to show? Nothing. I mean, really, like, where are they? I don't know. What do you think? I mean, do you think it's because they're also feeling the burnout or do you think that they're meeting up together and reevaluating their strategy? Because I have a feeling that that's actually not happening. I don't feel like that they are doing that right now.
I think that there is, the way I say it is like that. The MAGA wants to make it sound like the Democrats are playing chess and, the Republicans are playing three-dimensional chess. The Democrats are playing chess while the Republicans play three-dimensional chess. Like, they're just, the pigeon shits on the board.
Yeah.
And, the metaphor, it's like, if you're playing chess with a pigeon, he just shits on the board, and you can't, like, beat that with traditional chess moves. Like, we need to.
There.
What's that?
There's no logic there. It's just shit everywhere.
and that's what, like the Democrats are trying to, like, okay, we can't complain about them being, what's the word you always hear about? Not conventional or whatever.
We can't complain about them not being conventional.
Yeah, but that's not the word that everybody always uses. This is anyway. But like, it's like we can't complain about their behavior and then behave the exact same way. That's the Democrats thinking. So we need to be the
why not, though? Obviously,
you can be like you can be the adults in the room and still have adult arguments, but you can be pissed off adults.
Yeah,
like, listen, they want to equate being pissed off with being children. And
right, exactly.
No, it doesn't have to be either pissed off or adults. Be pissed off adults.
It's like being an adult
in Crockett. They're pissed off adults.
Yeah, right.
They're not reducing their arguments. They're like, and it's like, if Jasmine Crockett says "ain't," which is something that, what's his Foghorn Leghorn?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, use all this Southern rhetoric he wants.
Kennedy, yeah.
as soon as Crockett says the word ain't one time, it's like she's just, like this spewing ebonics, inner city, uh, you know, like, oh, you read some of the reactions to some of her.
Oh no, I've seen it, but yeah, John Kennedy acting like they don't talk like that in Louisiana. With just
like
side
a
note,
white person in Texas never said the word ain't, like
no.
she's not talking like a black person. She's talking like a Texan, and she's a fucking Texan. So shut up. Anyway.
Yeah. No. I agree. Yeah. No, but that's the thing. So the way that Jasmine Crockett and AOC handled this is like I don't know if I've experienced this before. It's great. Not the great. I mean, it's a great feeling to be able to do it because you're dealing with somebody who knows what they're doing, but they're just being an asshole. It's like being an adult in a room with like a 14-year-old kid that's trying to bully you, right? They're still technically a kid, right? But you're pissed and you're smarter than them. And so you say some snarky shit and they're like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. That's how you handle that. That's how you handle that behavior.
The other thing we need to do is we need to fight back for the Overton window. Which, if people don't know what the Overton window is, it's like this theory of what is the Overton window is what's considered acceptable discourse in American politics. Right. So and the idea is that if you move the Overton window, then you can move the entire country by moving what they voted for. And so now we've got, we literally have people excusing a Nazi salute during a presidential inauguration ceremony, or
insanity.
Like a Nazi salute, and it wasn't a Nazi salute, and they show pictures of like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, with their hand waving to the audience as though that's
right.
The full-on Nazi salute.
Watch American History X. He does it. Oh,
there's like a meme that has him synchronized doing it with like a group of actual Nazis.
Yeah, I've seen it.
He is a Nazi, and he is and it's not just like in isolation either. He bought Twitter so he could re-platform Nazis. He quotes Nazi tweets.
Yeah.
He went to Germany and said, "Stop feeling bad about the Holocaust."
Right.
He went to Italy and said, "Oh, preserve your Italian heritage."
Oh yeah. What the fuck was that? Did you see the video of the woman sitting next to him, like that moment of clarity?
Far enough away, fast enough.
The guy's like, "Let's move this table all the way over here. Get over here. You get away from that mess of a man." Yeah, this guy. I mean, he is literally. And I'm sure you saw. I shared on Blue Sky the picture of him at that AFD rally next to the 1984 shot from the movie where there's the people and the leader on the screen. It's like I said, life imitates art. It's insane. The guy's crazy. He supports the new Nazi party. Some of you might know him, Kelly. You of course know. My husband's from Germany. He's German, and he is like, there's no. I mean,
he must have been a bit like. What I would love to know, what was Robin's reaction?
He was like, well, one, there was no question about what it was that he did when he saw that. He was like, that's exactly what it is.
His statements on Germany. And
he's like, well, here's what Robin's biggest thing was that he says it's crazy to me. Well, just more high level, and then the Elon part, but it's crazy to think that his grandparents and other people's grandparents that are still alive now, that were alive during World War II and the Holocaust, that the AFD is even able to exist, right? That the AFD, the new Nazi party, is even able to exist with the people that went through that already once before are still alive today. Like how they are getting away with that is just like mind-boggling. It does not compute. It does not make any sense. But in regards to the Elon stuff, there's no doubt about it. He's like, there's no doubt about what he's doing.
That was not awkward gesture.
Oh, my heart goes out to you.
It's not my heart goes out to you. It was not just a Nazi salute. It
Yeah.
was a rehearsed Nazi salute delivered with
Absolutely.
enthusiasm.
I mean,
Like,
and you saw all of the alt-right Nazi sympathizers like Nick Fuentes and Andrew Tate, all like, yeah, he did it. Good. I'm glad that he did it. It was straight up a Heil. They all knew it, and he knew it too. And then if you saw like the progression of people claiming what he did, and then he's like trying to defend what he did by reposting other people's posts about, like you said, the other politicians waving and whatnot. And then he proceeds to make German Nazi jokes to, I don't know, deflect. I didn't really get it. It's like, oh yeah, but then he has people that support him that are like, oh, well, he went to Auschwitz with his son, and no, it was a presser. He did that for the press. That man did not give a shit about being there. It was just he could care less. It was an image thing, and that was it. He is a sympathizer. His family, his history of his mother's side of the family has a background. They were Nazis. Like, let's just be real and honest with ourselves. Like, that is the fact. That is a fact, 100%. And Eli and my husband Robin also saw it. There's no curtain to pull away. It's right there in front of you.
So to get back to like what we need to, like, if they can move the Overton window to it's okay to do Nazi salutes during presidential inaugurations, then we can move it back some.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We need to stop, and we need to stop shying away things from like the word socialism.
Yeah.
We need to stop shying away things from like class warfare.
Yeah.
And we need to stop shying away from the culture war. And we need to stop shying away from, all of this shit. Like, we need to start saying, look, trans people are not the reason that rich people are shortchanging you. Like, a person can be like, if a gay couple is fucking in the door next, in the house next door to you, it impacts your life not a fucking bit.
Zero.
You know what does? Elon Musk fighting against unions.
Yeah.
We need to start fighting. Like, we need to be every day, have the entire Democratic Party in uniform, standing up for unions, standing up for socialism, standing against unabated capitalism. Like, I think that, there needs to be some kind of mix of capitalism and socialism, like is successful in all of Western Europe. We need to stop letting them say stupid shit. Like, every time there's been any socialism at all, it's ended up in in authoritarianism. Like, that's just not fucking true. We need to start and it needs to be like every single Republican is now unabashedly MAGA.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, and then they sit there and they scream about communists, and you're a socialist, and the Democrats need to start saying, yes, I'm a socialist, or I'm a democratic socialist.
See, I think that's what we're gonna have to. We have to go in that direction.
If everybody else in the world to you is an extremist, maybe you're the extremist.
Yeah.
If everyone is to the left of you, maybe you're too far right. Like, they need to start fighting for the Overton window, and they need to start moving it back instead of just conceding it to the fascists.
Yeah.
Because there's no more Republican Party. There is a fascist party. They talk about the Nazis and see, that means National Socialist Party. And so they were actually socialists. No, the National Socialist Party was a socialist party that existed, and then Hitler took over.
It.
Right? It was no longer a socialist party by the time he was imposing his fascism. And that's exactly what Donald Trump has done with the Republican Party. There used to be a Republican Party that had its own set of values, which I still disagreed with.
Right.
But they were, like Steve Schmidt Like
Yeah.
that I agree with Steve Schmidt offends me. But I still like I actually probably we need to learn some lessons from him. He's a Republican, so he knows how to fight back like an asshole, and he does that well, right?
Yeah.
He's probably done as much to push back against the Republicans as anybody, and he was actually he's the real Republican in the room. Anyway, we need to fight for the narrative.
Yeah.
If you
Right.
follow me, we need to stop just conceding the narrative on everything to the Republicans, and we need to
Yeah.
fight back on it
Well, that's
because
what we did. That's what we did before, and we're doing it right now.
yeah,
Right. I mean, and I think that the fact that we had an opportunity, where I live, I think I might have brought this up with you before, the 2016 election in a county where I live that went full MAGA after Trump was after Bernie lost, right, in 2016 in the primaries. But that county, which is a lower income, smaller community, typically red leaning, Bernie Sanders won the primaries for 2016 for that community, which is insane to think about. But that's because people can sign on to this idea of democratic socialism. But I think just democratic alone has kind of lost its luster for a lot of people. And I think that with the fact that Bernie Sanders had the ability to reach a lot of people when he did previously, and there's still people that even support Trump now that will agree with a lot of stuff that Bernie Sanders said because they did before. I think that that's the direction that the party needs to take. And I think that's going to give us the opportunity to take that Overton window and move it in those directions without, and not, I think that, all right, the Republicans are going to scream really loud about how all we care about are trans rights and abortion, but we just need to scream louder about the other issues. Of course, we still care about that, but that's not the narrative that needs to be the driving force for the Democratic Party. It wasn't, right? It wasn't. It's that they were screaming louder than we were about the issues that we're fighting for everybody, right? And that's why we need to be able to say, what direction can we take this that is going to bring on more support than what the narrative that the Republicans have created for us, right?
right.
We're struggling with creating a narrative and having it being public or what the public's talking about. We're struggling to do that for ourselves because
Right.
the Republicans are just screaming and they're making a spectacle, right? And we need to do the same thing, but just be louder.
So here's what, like, this is my understanding of like the last 50 years of history, is that the Republicans spent all this time making a colossal mess, and then blaming it on the Democrats.
Yeah.
Then the MAGAs are like pissed off about the mess, and they're believing it's the Democrats and the Republicans that are responsible. So now they're like, they hate the Republicans, the traditional Republicans, and the Democrats, and they're angry about the mess. But we've never spoken to the anger.
Right.
Like
Right.
what we need to do, and when, like with all this weird New York Times, what's her name, go out and talk to the MAGAs and understand where they're coming from. This is the one way we need to understand why they're angry. The Democrats have stopped supporting the unions.
Yeah.
The Democrats have stopped like and the Democrats need to fight for the little guy, and they need to make that their message. Like ever since John Kerry went to this job creators, I don't know if you remember this or if it was before, but he was talking about, like, oh, well, job creators need their freedom too, or whatever. I can't remember exactly, but he was always talking about the job creators. Like, oh, we need to, the rich corporate people need to have their say too, and it's like, there's been this kind of conceding to the old, and when he's like married into this like
back in like 2004.
2004. Yeah, during
He's
that.
like, those are the people that are creating the jobs. We need to focus on supporting them instead of like
Yeah.
actually using people. Right. Yeah.
So I forget how old you are, so sorry.
Well,
And I'm
I'm not
like old, so
telling anybody that.
like I don't like know who was the first person you voted for?
Obama.
Obama. Okay. So
Yeah.
all right. So I'm not
You're not too far off. You're not too far off.
like because I don't know, I wasn't, does she remember the Kerry campaign or not,
Yeah, of course.
But when you like in another 20 years you'll be like, and it's like time just kind of gels into this.
Oh, listen, it already happens. I know you see it in 20 years, but like, look at the generation behind me.
It's like it's hard to believe that it's hard to believe last week was only 20 years ago. Like
right? No, I'm sorry, I forgot we're back in 1930s Germany now. I thought I was in the United States, and then it was 2025 instead. It's 1930s Germany. Okay,
but anyway, we need to like fight for the angry voter rather than fight for the Democratic voter or fight for the Republican.
You've got that's the problem, and you're absolutely right. There are people that are going to vote Democratic. There's no way in hell that they would ever vote Republican. We have those voters, and I think that, of course, we should be supporting the people that support our party, overall. But we have those voters, and we're going to continue to have those voters because we're going to continue to support policies that are the ones that they want to see happen. But we have the other people, as you said, the angry voters that feel disenfranchised. And how do we get them to come over to supporting our causes? We have to make their causes our causes too, right?
Right.
And that's how we do that. And I think that there was a smidge of that in this past election cycle, with the child tax credit, or I don't remember what she called it, like the $6,000 for when you have a kid, and the money going towards buying a new home. Those were some breadcrumbs of a version of what we really need in order to bring those people over. But it wasn't enough. And so I think that if anybody's putting their heads together, whatever the talking heads are doing, that needs to be the conversations that they're having, is how do we accomplish that, and having the conversations with those angry voters and meeting them where they are.
See, and like what I would have done if I would have wanted to message that, like, we had that tax credit, right? And while we had that tax credit, we had the lowest poverty rate in American history. And we reduced childhood poverty by 50%. And then the Republicans ended that. And sure, like people are like, well, Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin didn't vote for it. 96% of the Democrats in the Senate voted for it.
Yeah.
0% of the Republicans voted for it.
How's the fuck Kristen Sinema? She can go kick rocks for all I care.
Anyway. Like what they should have said is the Republicans ended that. You know how many eggs you can buy with $600 a month?
Not many
for each kid?
Yeah, not enough.
4 kids, that's $2,400 a month. You can buy a lot of fucking eggs and milk with $2,400 a month.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and it's like, and then remember when you were getting this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
well, like you're right though.
Like they would have these news things, and they would talk about the price of eggs, and they would not, even when they were getting the childhood tax credit.
Yeah.
Like the news people would have like, oh, this family of 12, their grocery bill went up $400 a month, and it's like, okay, how much did they get in child tax credits?
Yeah, right.
That they didn't get under Trump. Why aren't you covering that? And instead of like that's where the Democrats should have been screaming.
Yeah, yeah.
Where are the, yeah, we understand that. That's why we're doing something about it. Why are the Republicans opposing it?
Yeah.
Like fight for the angry voters. Because I can understand you go to the supermarket and your bill goes up. But instead of just saying Biden's president, therefore it's his fault, like actually have a discussion about it and have an angry discussion. Like, we're pissed off too. Why are these, grocery stores sitting there? Because there's already all this stuff caused by supply side issues, which were caused by Donald Trump's irresponsible treatment of the pandemic. And
Yep.
now we have to deal with this shit. And then we've got to deal with, these hysterics from the Republicans that want to scream about inflation and how people can't afford eggs anymore. And then they want to fight us being able to help people buy eggs. Where, like, put the Republicans on the defensive.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
always on the defensive. It's always that. And just, it's like when you're on the defensive, you're losing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too, like you said earlier, like they're worried about what the 2% of Democrats that didn't vote for something instead of the fact that the Republicans shut it down. Like that is the narrative needs to be about that the Republicans didn't allow for it to happen. Like the fact that we can't get the federal minimum wage raised is not because of anything that the Democrats have done. It's because the Republicans won't allow it. They're the ones that are fighting against making it easier for Americans to be able to afford to fucking live. But instead it's a blame it on so-and-so. And that's what the Republicans allow the narrative to go in that direction, and we don't do anything about it because, like you said, the people were all like, "Oh, well, Joe Biden's president, so egg prices are high now. It's his fault." Where were the Democrats other than Kamala Harris making one statement about it, or two statements about it, or just one sentence in her speeches about that? Where were the rest of the Democrats that were out there screaming, "That's not how this works"? We're also angry about that, but let's look at one, how to solve the problem. Two, let's place blame where it belongs. And three, like I said, let's do something about it. Like let's actually do something. There was nobody was out there promoting that and fighting against that misinformation and that disinformation. And I think that's where we failed, and we continue to fail there. I'm concerned because it's been a week now, and there has been little to note in regards to where the Democrats are and what they're currently doing right now.
And so, yeah, and we need to rally. We need to be pissed, but we need to be heard. And the only way to be heard in this current media environment is to scream.
Yeah.
Like scream on Twitter, scream on Facebook. My wife has always been tried to be, like apolitical on Facebook, but she's like, I can't do this. And she's been like just angry on Facebook, and I'm proud of her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got off Facebook back whenever I transitioned over to Blue Sky, but I think that there's a lot of people that, depending on the platform that they're on, they're like, "Oh, I use Facebook for, reaching out to my family. It's not really something I use for political purposes." It's like, well, everybody else is. So where else do you think you're going to be having these types of conversations with people? Like, you need to be taking advantage of the platform that you're on and the audience that you have in order to be able to make a difference. Like this point, like I said, this is not optional anymore.
Right.
We don't have the luxury to just sit back. And I don't mean just us or the people listening. I'm talking about, you need to talk to your family members and your friends who are apolitical. There is no middle ground to be apolitical anymore. There is no seat on the sidelines anymore. They've taken the chairs. They've taken the chairs away. They've mowed off the paint on the field. There is no sidelines anymore that you can just sit on and, be silent. We don't have that option anymore. That's just it's not something that we can do. And, I try to talk to everybody that I can. I have friends that aren't really political. Hell, Robin, a lot of Germans prior to what's really currently happening right now, and this is actually probably the reason that the AfD has become so popular in Germany, is because all the shit that the Germans did in World War II with the Holocaust and with Adolf Hitler and all the Nazi shit, they were like, "Oh fuck, we fucked up. We got to fix this." And so they did a complete about face, and then they became complacent, and they stopped being political. And what happened during that time from the 80s to now is that that weird shit started to creep up again, and little by little it started to gain traction again, and they didn't realize it until now. It's almost too late. It's become so big, as big as it's gotten, because they're like, we just want to stay out of politics because we know what we did last time and we really fucked up and we don't want that to happen again. But guess what? It is happening again because they weren't involved in that. They weren't participating in the political discourse that could have allowed for them to recognize that the AFD was an up and coming party. And so that's the thing that's how I explain it to people that I talk to who are apolitical. And as I said, Robin was like that before. He is not like that anymore. He is definitely involved in paying attention, and I'm grateful for that. And I challenge other people as well. If you're listening to this, you're probably not apolitical, but I'm sure you have people in your lives that are. And I challenge people to meet them where they are. Like, maybe some of the types of conversations that we have might not be the place to start with people that maybe aren't involved in politics at all. But there's a place where you can start a conversation with people, and put some fire under their ass to get them understanding that this is a monumental moment right now. And if we do not take it, then it's going to be taken from us. And we're very close to losing it.
I 100% agree. I think what we need to do is you're coming back tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. I have a sleep study I have to do tonight.
Oh.
No, tomorrow I'm here today, Thursday, and Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'll be on here tomorrow. But either way, we will continue this conversation on Thursdays, because we we're coming up I have a hard 2-hour mark for this one. But thanks everybody that joined us. Jeremy, hi. I don't know if did we lose Neverfall? Neverfall might be mad at me. Anyway, I'll talk to him offline. I owe him and his wife a phone call. That's
heard.
But anyway,
let's put a stop there, because I still, I told you I have my outlines. I've got plenty of things. And listen, I bet that outline's going to go out the window by the time I talk to you on Thursday, because there's going to be a whole slew of other shit.
But I agree. We like the word I was thinking of is we need to find the complacent and instigate them. We need to provoke them. And just like, do you really think that, trans people in sports are why you're not making enough money? Like, get them to think beyond the narratives that the Republican Party keeps trying to present. And we need to get them to go beyond that. That's what we need to do.
Agreed.
We need to turn the complacent voter into a pissed off voter. Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to end there. Thanks for joining me this morning, Nahan.
Yeah, of course.
And, give Robin a hello for me.
Will do.
We will see you on Thursday.
Sounds great. See you guys.